I don't need to read to speak better English. Reading is boring and won't help my conversation skills at all. This is what Maria told her English teacher 2 years ago. She believed that only speaking practice could improve her speaking ability. Fast forward to today, Maria is now one of the most articulate English speakers in her company, regularly leading international meetings with confidence. What changed everything for her? She discovered the secret that transformed her English forever. And it wasn't more conversation classes or speaking apps. It was something much simpler and more surprising. She started reading every single day. Maria's story proves what language experts have known for decades, but many students ignore. Reading is the hidden superpower behind excellent spoken English. The hidden connection between reading and speaking. At first glance, reading and speaking appear to be completely different skills. Reading is quiet and private, while speaking is loud and social. Reading uses your eyes, while speaking uses your mouth and voice. However, both skills share something incredibly important. They both rely on your brain's language system. When you read, you're actually exercising the same mental muscles that you use when you speak. Think of your brain as a language warehouse. Every time you read, you're adding new words, phrases, and sentence patterns to this warehouse. Later, when you need to speak, your brain automatically reaches into this warehouse to find the right words and expressions. The more you read, the bigger and richer your language warehouse becomes. Building your vocabulary naturally. One of the biggest challenges in speaking English is having enough vocabulary to express your thoughts clearly. Many students try to memorize word lists or use vocabulary apps, but reading offers a much more natural and effective approach. When you encounter new words in context while reading, you understand not just their meaning, but also how they're actually used in real situations. For example, you might know that delicious means tasty, but through reading, you discover that people say absolutely delicious or surprisingly delicious, not just very delicious. You learn that exhausted is stronger than tired, and that furious expresses anger more intensely than angry. These subtle differences are crucial for natural-sounding speech, and reading teaches them to you automatically. Moreover, reading exposes you to words you might never encounter in everyday conversation. Academic texts introduce you to formal vocabulary. Novels show you descriptive language, and newspapers teach you current expressions. This diverse vocabulary makes your speech more interesting and sophisticated. Learning natural sentence patterns. Grammar rules are important, but they don't teach you how English really sounds. Reading shows you how native speakers naturally combine words into sentences. You begin to notice patterns like, not only did he arrive late, but he also forgot the documents, or the more I practice, the more confident I become. These patterns become part of your natural speech without you even trying to memorize them. Reading also teaches you about sentence, rhythm, and flow. You start to feel which sentences sound smooth and which ones sound awkward. This intuitive understanding of English rhythm dramatically improves your spoken fluency. When you speak, You unconsciously use the sentence patterns you've absorbed through reading, making your speech sound more natural and native-like. Developing cultural understanding. Language is deeply connected to culture, and reading gives you insights into how English speakers think and communicate. Through books, articles, and stories, you learn about cultural references, humor, and social situations. You discover why people say, break a leg to wish someone good luck, or why that's interesting might actually mean someone disagrees with you. This cultural knowledge is essential for natural conversation. When you understand cultural context, you can participate more confidently in discussions, make appropriate jokes, and avoid misunderstandings. Reading materials from different English-speaking countries also exposes you to various cultural perspectives and communication styles. Improving pronunciation through silent reading. This might sound impossible, but reading actually helps your pronunciation, even when you read silently. As you read, your brain subconsciously hears the words, creating mental sounds for each word and sentence. Over time, this mental pronunciation becomes more accurate, especially when you read materials that you've also heard spoken, like movie scripts or audiobook transcripts. When you encounter unfamiliar words while reading, you naturally try to figure out how they sound, even if your first guess isn't perfect. You're training your brain to connect written words with sounds. This mental practice significantly improves your ability to pronounce new words correctly when speaking. Building confidence and fluency. Reading regularly builds your overall confidence with English. When you read extensively, you become familiar with how the language works in many different contexts. This familiarity reduces anxiety when speaking because you feel more prepared and knowledgeable about the language. Additionally, reading improves your ability to think in English rather than translating from your native language. As you read more, you begin to understand ideas directly in English without mental translation. This skill transfers directly to speaking, making your conversations more fluid and natural. Practical tips for using reading to improve speaking. To maximize the benefits of reading for your spoken English, choose materials that match your interests and level. Start with books or articles that are slightly easier than your current level, then gradually increase the difficulty. Don't worry about understanding every single word. Focus on getting the general meaning and enjoying the content. Keep a vocabulary journal where you write down interesting phrases and expressions you encounter while reading. Review these regularly and try to use them in your own speech. Reading aloud occasionally can also help you practice pronunciation and rhythm. Consider joining online discussion groups or book clubs where you can talk about what you've read. This gives you opportunities to use the vocabulary and ideas you've encountered in your reading, creating a perfect connection between your reading and speaking practice. The long-term benefits. The relationship between reading and speaking creates a positive cycle of improvement. The more you read, the better you speak. The better you speak, the more confident you become in using English. This increased confidence motivates you to read more challenging materials, which further improves your speaking skills. Students who read regularly often surprise themselves with their speaking progress. They find themselves using expressions they didn't consciously study, and they discover that their speech sounds more natural and sophisticated. This improvement happens gradually and naturally, making it sustainable and enjoyable. Conclusion. Reading might seem like a quiet, solitary activity that has little connection to the dynamic world of spoken English. However, the reality is quite different. Reading is one of the most powerful tools for improving your speaking skills because it builds the foundation that all good speech requires: vocabulary, natural sentence patterns, cultural understanding, and overall confidence with the language. The next time you want to improve your spoken English, don't just focus on conversation practice. Pick up a book, magazine, or interesting article and start reading. Your future speaking self will thank you for the rich language warehouse you're building today. Remember, every page you read is an investment in your speaking ability, and the returns on this investment will benefit you for years to come. Thanks for watching.